You are the most frustrating. Why won't you kneel? Why forego the inevitable? You, of all of these people, should know that you are running out of time.
What now lies in wait to be discovered in the tales of D'aowVern?
Hello and welcome, strangers and friends, back to the Strangers Guild. I am Caleb the Bard on all social media and the DM for our adventurers that are pursuing the tales of D'aowVern. And today we have another solo session. It's been 3 days strong. We're really getting back into it. But before we get to that, Yarrow, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. Yeah, I'm Freckle. I play Yarrow, our tiefling sorcerer. I am Freckle Aquarius or Freckleworks on all platforms. And yeah, I'm excited to be hopping back into it and see what my funny little man has been up to.
Yarrow, in the events of this week, it's been quite a long week, and we're going to go over it in meticulous detail with other members of your party. Uh, but for now, you've taken a day off, and you are, as we start this session, we're about to wake up in back in your moon tower. You'll remember that you fought a crazy three-figured woman in a tavern. You ran around the city chasing leads and following information and avoiding guards. And there was I would say, three big moments for Yarrow. The first being almost dying in the initial Breckoning ceremony, where you were the conduit of some chronomancy that seemed to try to take your youth from you. And then there was a training moment where you had both emotional beats and magical beats of massive strength, but also vulnerability. And then leaving that space, the moment that we are going to play with and really flesh out today is the realization that you, Yarrow, have magic. You are for whatever reason, a chosen being. And you wake up in your moon tower. And if you could remind our audience, what does Yarrow look like and how does your day start, and just kind of what are we looking at as you awake this morning?
Yeah. They're pretty tall, purple, white hair, have the moon-shaped horns. I guess nervous, friendly but nervous energy. My man has anxiety. And his home is weirdly shaped. I think we kind of described it's one of those structures where you look at it and wonder, how is that standing? And it kind of has like a little shop at the bottom. There's different floors and levels, and for like their room and whatnot, it's very cluttered. Well, it might be a little more organized now because I think at one point Diantha had helped clean, so it's probably the most organized it has ever been, honestly. But it's got like threads and strings and stuff all around. And Yarrow's day probably starts with just like most of them had been the past few years, I think, which is just like getting back to researching, like reading, the normal. Their brother, has a weird illness, so that kind of preoccupied a lot of time of looking into that stuff, any sort of magic or studies on that stuff.
Take this time to yourself. That first day back at the Moon Tower was mostly, like you said, reading, studying, just kind of getting back to your routine. But also, you had taken some hits, and
Yes.
you had, torn your clothes, and to a certain degree,
A little sore.
you're just getting back to Yarrow. That second night, however, you have dreams. And part of the way that your memory works is you can very vividly think to certain moments, recall certain things. But as I describe your dreams to you, I need you to give me a charisma saving throw.
Okay. That is a 13.
A 13. Okay, cool. So, Yarrow, your dreams this night are filled with violent images. Wars, people being attacked. Nothing familiar to you. But you do remember seeing a friend in black armor, without most of their calm, cool, and collected demeanor that they usually present to you. You see Dianthus, but not as you've ever seen them. In your dreams, you see a field of various armies, and in the middle you see Dianthus in simple armor, just mowing down opponents. They are much more nimble and sporadic with their movements than you remember. As you kind of awake, you just remember the absurdity of that dream. And how do you, what is the first thing that you do after this?
I think probably sits up and thinks about how strange of a dream it is, and probably just tries to shake it off and just it's probably, I don't think they would think a whole lot of it, that's weird. There's been a lot of fighting going on. It's probably just a funky dream. And they probably start getting up and getting ready for their day.
This day, what do you think your focus, as far as your research or your obsession or your hobbies? I know Yarrow has a bunch going on in their moon tower.
Probably to maybe his notes. If he's got any notes on the magic or stuff, maybe the day before they had written down some stuff about maybe any theories or some important things that he would have noted over those events that he recalls.
In that case, give me either an Arcana or a History check.
Arcana or History, okay. What am I
Essentially to
better
figure
at?
out what you're trying to glean from this.
That's a 12.
A 12. Yarrow, similar to the last time that you were in your moon tower before you were interrupted by the Breckoning event almost a week ago, you reach a point in your notes, at least in what is in the writing itself, that you don't feel there's anything else more to read. If you remember the last time that you were in this space, the texts and the shelves had started to respond to your inclination, to whatever it is you were thinking of reading and diving into. So the shelves themselves even in this moment, as if held by string or shuffled and going around. But in this moment, they kind of reflect your maybe frustration or your inability to find what you're looking for. As this happens, you do notice outside that it is raining, and you notice that there is a glowing object on the window that oversees the front of your tower.
I would like to go look at the glowing object.
Okay. In this moment, as you go to the window, are you picking it up? Are you opening the window? Are you,
It's outside of the window.
pane of glass item, and then the rest of the window?
I think he'd probably go to open the window to get a closer look. See if, I mean, it's glowing, so I think they're presuming it's probably some sort of magic or something like that, so.
As you pick up this item, you notice that it's half of a shear, so like a pair of scissors.
Okay.
But it's made of crystal, but it's only one half. Almost as if it could be used to open something. But it doesn't look broken. But you do get the feeling that it has some sort of magical capability.
I mean, probably continue to inspect it. I don't think I have I don't have any spells or anything that's helpful with stuff like that. But yeah, probably just kind of turn it over in his hand, take a look at it, and maybe bring it back over to his desk.
Yarrow, in this moment, what do you think, or who do you think, or is there a memory that this might spark for you?
I'm trying to remember if that thing has been brought up before.
I will say, like a player, you don't recognize this specific item. This is more of
Okay.
kind of like a stream of thought, right? Like, is there anything that this would make you think of?
Well, it's like scissors. It's part of scissors, and it's got threads all around. So it's probably a sense of thinking of when he tried to break one of the threads, maybe.
Okay. And when that happened, you might recall that you and Dianthus were kind of taken to a place,
Yeah.
arena. Could you give me another charisma saving throw?
Sure thing.
While you're doing that, some people who saw the last few sessions might recognize this, but this is a 6.
Yeah.
These throws, these rolls are based off of some sort of effect from the dream, or maybe it's this item. But as you think of the thread that you tried to cut, and you and Dianthus being pulled through, you remember Dianthus fighting something. You remember it being big and striking fear into you. To the player, I will say this is the scene where Dianthus fought Hemlock. But to the character, Yarrow does not remember Hemlock. And in your recollection of this event, Dianthus is fighting almost a Gorgon level threat, like a giant monster with tendrils and strong arms and fiery red eyes, but you don't remember it as being like a person. But even then, your memories are usually more clear. But that is what the shears kind of bring you to. That's what it makes you think of.
Yeah, and probably just continue to kind of look them over. Put it probably next to a notebook or next to a pencil or something. And just kind of rub his hands over his face, just trying to remember clearer or be like, that's weird. I'm just still waking up,
Yeah, so So what do you think Yarrow's like emotional response is to forgetting in an
Um,
instance of you don't usually forget things?
Probably after trying to just be like, oh, I'm just waking up. Let me just like pace for a bit. Maybe, yeah, I think they stand up, kind of walk around a bit, and when they still can't remember it, then I think it's the, starts fidgeting with the hands, continues to start pacing, and starts to maybe get a little more frustrated. And the concern maybe is starting to just kind of grow just a tiny bit.
For your moon tower, you had kind of like an observation deck, right? Or was that the
Yeah.
level above where you sleep?
Probably. There's maybe like, I imagine it's the room, and then there's these little windy stairs that go up to that little outer area.
Gotcha. I would say probably in this moment, right, where you're a little annoyed, worried, Yarrow, you probably find yourself. Dianthus had put a lot of work into cleaning your space, but in this moment, you're kind of just leaving things, picking up books very absentmindedly, very ADHD, no, body double
Yeah.
situation where
Yeah.
in the next, 30 minutes, hour or so, you kind of almost to the exact way it looked before. Uh, it still has the magic effects, kind of around the tower. It still kind of hums with that energy, but it kind of returns to that state. And as you come out to your observatory, could you give me a perception check?
Yeah. That is a 15.
Gotcha. So I'll say on a 15, your night, something you noticed that is a little different than most nights is the moons last night, typically green and gray, had more of a reddish tint to them, which gave for a more purpled night sky. Um, which things like that have happened before. There's a lot of different materials that would provide that explanation, maybe dust, something. But as you're looking out your observatory, kind of looking out over the city of D'aowVern, you realize that there's no movement.
Oh, okay.
Like as you come out, there's not, even when it rains, because it is raining still, um, there's not the usual level of like people having to get to work or going to the bars or kids playing in the street. There's no one moving. And that's strange.
Yeah. They probably continue to just look around, see if there's any people watching houses, to see if any of the lights turn on or off. Or is it morning, night, you said?
It's morning.
And yeah, just kind of looking, just see if there's any people walking, doors opening. Just, like trying to people watch to see, like,
On a 15, you did notice that the night before was strange. There were people out the night before. But now, this stillness, this eerie quiet, goes for the first hour or two that it's raining. I'll say that Yarrow, your curious nature, you might at certain points have gotten tea or picked up a book or something, maybe written a couple notes, moved around some threads on your conspiracy boards. But each time you came back for the first hour or two, there was no one moving. Streets were quiet and the rain just fell.
I think that definitely makes him wonder what's going on. That's a little strange. I'll probably keep looking, or if, wait and wait until there's movement, or if not, then he might start thinking about going downstairs or outside to look if it's maybe just from up top thing, or just, look into it a little more.
Your observation and patience in this probably saved you a little bit. If you can give me a wisdom save with advantage.
Wonderful, because that was a 2 and a 16.
16. I will say, Yarrow, you watch and you wait and you try to pick up on anything. Something in the back of your mind, though, tells you to just wait.
Okay.
Until you see small movement in the distance, kind of like the first person on the dance floor. Someone starts to come out, and at that point, you feel it's safe to either open your window or go out into the observatory deck, even go out the door. Like the rain has subsided, kind of. The rain's still going, but people are back outside.
Yeah, if he sees people walking around, he'll probably open that door, maybe kind of go out if it's either just stop completely or a light drizzle, and kind of go closer to whatever outside little balcony, I guess, over to kind of continue his observations a little bit.
I will say with both the perception and the wisdom save, you do notice that as you walk out there, there's kind of the remnants of some sort of, you can't tell if it's a potion or a spell, but some sort of sleepiness is kind of going away. You get the feeling it had something to do with the dreams that you were having. But as you look, you look out over everything, and the moon tower is on the eastern point of the city. It's one of the first points as you start to go up the mountain, because D'aowVern is an island city, bustling, but it's also the base of a giant mountain that like breaks through the clouds. And as you look up, you can't see who they are with your natural eye at this distance. But there's a group of maybe foragers or rangers, something, up the mountain that are just watching the city.
You said moving, or they're just kind of staying put?
They're kind of just staying put. So they're at a far enough distance to where, you can look and you can see them, but you can't make out any features. I will say you are in an observatory, for one.
Yeah.
So you might be able to find something that can help you.
Like a telescope or something?
I would say so. You observe the stars and stuff. So city is starting to come alive. You can look down towards the city to see if you spot anything. There's a group of people. There's also movement in the clouds above you. Various lights and shadows and strange happenings. And then the tree line that is above, so you have the city at the base. You have Maldeo, which is the church that sits at the northern central point. And higher up the mountain are the high court houses, the homes of the rich and the lords, the ladies, that sort of thing. But above them, you see a lot of movement in the trees. So you get this feeling that in this moment, with the observational material that you have, that you can focus on one of these things: the village, the people, the clouds, or the top tree line, before the mountain turns mostly to like dirt and rock.
I think he'd be really interested in what's like the movement in the clouds. He spends a lot of time looking at the sky, and so naturally be kind of focusing on that a bit more.
So in looking at the clouds, looking up, give me a investigation check, but add your spellcasting modifier.
Where's my investigation? So I'd be adding a 6. Okay, so that's a 12.
12. Okay. Yarrow, you spend some time And I would say this kind of is one of those moments where your obsession to your work kind of takes over. You kind of roll up your sleeves.
Mhm.
You might take off some of your more ornate stuff, just kind of like those scenes in like scientific movies where you're starting to throw together a project. Telescopes
Mhm.
are moved and you take pieces off, and as you go, similar to the way that your books respond to you, the mechanisms and the range of telescope kind of move in turn to kind of help you get to what you're looking at. Eventually, about 15, 20 minutes goes by. You kind of work up a little bit of a sweat. There was a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts. But you're able to create this replication of this dome of light and reflection in your observatory. And you see three main things. First, you see an air genasi sitting very monk-like, uh, Zen features, but he's sitting on a pillar of clouds. As bolts of lightning streak past, he's undeterred. He's at peace. And he sits and he waits. And as your focus shifts, you see a unfamiliar but reminiscent figure, meaning you don't know who they are, but they give an energy of something that you recall, and it looks like a giant, maybe elk or deer person. And as the lightning roars in the clouds around him, he strings along a dark, hobbled bow of a violin, and he's playing a and it's weird because the reason I had you add your spellcasting modifiers, usually you don't get audio capture with the telescope.
Oh, yeah.
But in this moment, you feel that like threads of your magic and your ability are are bringing to life something that's happening in real time and bringing it down. But yeah, you are seeing this and hearing the lightning and the thunder and the violin as these two for a moment though, like those are the first two things you see. For a moment though, it's weird because the man, the monk, is completely contrasted to the violinist. Uh, One is still and serene and unbothered by the elements, while the other is dodging bolts of lightning. And at first, you think the way that he dances is strange, but eventually you realize that the man with the face of a deer in the violin is actually avoiding each droplet of rain as it passes through the cloud. And you realize that the third thing, and the scary aspect of what's happening, these two are conducting themselves in this way because above them and seemingly holding them in this space is a figure that you've seen once before in a
Okay.
dark purple cape, uh, deep black eyes, an old man that has a beard that has swirling clouds and stars in it is casting, and you see that the lightning isn't lightning at all, but spells that are coming out from his fingertips and trying to hit both the monk, who now you realize isn't actually sitting still, but is dodging and coming back to themselves at a speed so fast that the lightning claps are actually the sound of the violinist and the monk moving in this space. And you watch a very angry wizard casting these spells at them. And this goes on for a good couple of minutes. And Yarrow, you'll know and realize that, you know, you cast a couple spells the other day, and in seconds it depleted you.
And this guy is just.
This guy's just going, zapping. After a few minutes, the wizard kind of dissipates, and the man playing the violin draws it to a close, and the monk, the Genasi man, vanishes, kind of dissipates with the clouds, and it is just the two of you, you and the man who has the skull face of a deer with antlers and a violin, and you realize that at some point you had dropped your magic, and this man is actually standing in the middle of your observatory.
Oh, that's so freaky. Immediately, Yara's going to jump back against whatever, and it's just very, just gonna watch for a minute to see if this guy moves first.
Yarrow, I'll say, with dealing with Dianthus for the time that you've known them, you've gotten used to being able to judge someone's stature to see whether or not they're looking at you, even if you can't see their eyes. This man doesn't speak, and you can't see his eyes because they are obscured by the mask. But you do see that he is following you around this space.
So, like, if I walk around the, like, behind him, is he gonna turn, or, like, turn the head, or just, like, eyes watch, kind of, and then just stays put?
Are you going to move?
Yes. I think after a bit of silence and being watched, it's gonna kind of start moving.
What does that look like to you? Like, how? Illustrate to me Yarrow jumping back, being kind of stared down and moving in that space. What does that look like?
It definitely looks. He looks a little scared. I think a person he doesn't know just appeared in his home. And he's just kind of probably walking along the wall watching, and eventually will just kind of, can I help you?
As that happens, right? As you kind of walk around, he starts to play the music again. And different from before, there's no spells being cast, and there's no real storm happening now. The rain is still out there. You can hear the soft patter on the glass and outside. But that effect is gone. And this man doesn't say anything, but he does play to match your pace and to match the energy.
I think that almost makes him more nervous. Like, the heart rate is starting to pick up a little bit. Like, what is happening?
As this happens, it does the music. You realize it's strange. You start to feel your heartbeat matched by the music of this man. And it's funny. Give me an insight check.
Okay. 18.
Yarrow, I'll say for a good 30 seconds, you have like a moment of like darting around, like trying to move or find a more secure space. But it's the music and the way that the man is playing, he spins, and after the first 30 seconds or so, it stops to feel it stops feeling threatening.
Okay.
If anything, it's kind of like watching Yarrow as like a rabbit in a situation being chased by like a dog or a cat. But after a little bit, you realize that the pet is playing. You realize that there's like, and with that insight check, there's no threatening. And at one point, Yarrow, I would say that you kind of stop to kind of observe what's happening, and the man just continues to play. He's still spinning his cloak with mostly black and deep purples, different to the depth of the wizard. I explained earlier. This is more like organic, just kind of, like soots and, herbal based dyes and stuff. This is someone who you can tell comes from like the forest or something.
I think he's probably going to listen for a little bit longer and then acknowledge the man. This you're really talented with that.
Music stops. And all you hear is the rain. The man, you think for a second he's going to take off his mask, but he comes up and he pulls something out of his cloak. It's a circle, about the size of like your face. And he flings it to you, and for a second you think that it's just out of your reach to catch. And you think it's going to hit the ground, but right before it does, it stops, comes up, and kind of meets you face to face. And it's just a single disc made of a gray, almost marble material.
Just gonna, if I like move my face, does it follow or does it stay where it is?
It stays. It follows. So it like,
Oh,
you move, and it doesn't necessarily stay right in front of you, but if you move, it kind of will readjust after a second to kind of look viewable to you.
What's this?
The man doesn't speak. Starts to play a somber tone, and as he does, you kind of catch him through the glass. And as it does, as the glass appears in front of your face, the parts of him that are obscured by it, he disappears. So you see his face here, but not here. And then as it passes, it comes back around. The glass rests in your hand, and you look up, and he's not there.
What happened? I think Yarrow's probably gonna bring the glass back up to look through it again.
Give me an Arcana check.
That's a net 20 plus 4. I sent it in the private.
For a 24?
Yeah.
If someone else were in the room with you, Yarrow, in this moment, they would have seen that your eyes are like black and yellow, correct?
Yeah, yellowy orange.
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
Not at this moment. Right now, your eyes turn into what kind of looks like the inside of those, what are those? Kaleidoscopes, right? Where the color changes.
Yeah, the fun
Right,
little
like,
colors and the swirly.
Yeah, if someone was standing in here with you right now, they would watch as this little tablet glows, and your eyes sparkle and illuminate the tower. And I will say, on a natural 20, the entire city stops for a moment and watches as the moon tower illuminates with tendrils of rainbow light. As Yarrow, you are taken, not physically, but you see as you're investigating this glass, 3 unconscious people face down in a glen of rich greens and plants that are not of D'aowVern. And they are sleeping, maybe, or they've been cast here. And on a natural 20, you recognize Donna, Dianthus, and Cal, with various degrees of injuries and markings, but you also notice that they don't have any of their equipment with them. You do notice that the 3 of them are glowing. Cal is a light blue, and this, you think a little bit is because you're looking through this glass, the color and the light's being refracted a little bit. So you can't trust your eyes to have this like a one-to-one, right? Like if you were to illustrate
Yeah.
this moment, you recognize that some of these colors are betraying your eyes, your perception of them. But Icarus, Dianthus, has a black trim to their body, almost as if light is swallowed up by them in this moment. You also get the feeling that if they were turned over, you could see their chest or their face, but they're kind of face down in the grass at this moment. And then you see Donna is glowing a rich purple. And you had met her before. She was in full armor. You hadn't talked to her very much.
Right.
But something you definitely would have noticed before is wings roughly 10 feet across, splayed out on the grass, deep white and blue and purple streaks in the feathers.
Okay.
And again, I will say the last thing you get off of a nat 20 on this, in looking at the sky above them, you realize that one, it is not in the location, it's not anywhere close to D'aowVern. You study the stars, like this is somewhere far away, different. But you can also tell that this is also not a current occurrence.
Oh, I'm seeing a past or future thing, huh?
A past or future thing.
I think that probably makes him very concerned. Does it look, I mean, looking at them, are they like, does it look like they're breathing?
I'll say, yeah. On a
Okay.
nat 20, yeah, no, they're breathing.
Okay, wonderful. So they're not dead.
Yeah, they're not dead. But the energy that is like surrounding them, it's a beautiful picture. But it's also kind of terrifying because, you know, they're deep in some sort of mystic fey jungle type deal. And that is news to you.
Yeah, that definitely, I think that in general kind of freaks him out a bit. It's, he's trying to think if he's read of any kind of place like that, or trying to think of how would you even end up in a spot like that, trying to run through all of the possibilities in their mind of how something like that could have happened or will, or if it's something in the past. It's like he's hoping it's something in the past, and it's like, well, they're fine now. But if it's a future thing, then it's like, well, that's concerning. How'd you get there?
I'm gonna say on a natural 20, because that was kind of a big one. It takes you some time reading through your things. Now that your focus has shifted, the material that you're looking at is far different. And so as you pull things, it's far more relevant. But with each article, with each book, with each tome of different glyphs and languages and things, as you sift through everything, you come to the not too reassuring realization that it has to be a future thing. The marks are something that Cal and Dianthus have discussed based off of like the training at the waterfall and different aspects of their relationship. But what you do get from the books that would be like new to you is this is the Feywild, and I'm gonna need you to give me another charisma saving throw for me.
Okay. I mean, that was only an 11, but
Okay. Oh boy, I will say as you are processing all of this is coming to your mind and to your understanding of face. Because what you saw was through the tablet, right? It was by holding it and focusing your magic and your energy into it, you saw the vision with, Dianthus, Cal, Donna. However, you find that once you put it down, it's hard. Like when you pick it back up, you can't just look at it, right? It's not like a picture. It was almost a scrying moment. Like it was a spell effect. So you can't really see it again. However, whenever you think about it, the face of Lady M pops up.
Okay.
And in trying to remember the ground and the forest and the setting, you can only think of the green fabrics with like the trim, and the rocks and the people that were in that space become the distinct features of her face.
Oh, that's fascinating.
It's a little trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think about it, and the more you try to focus on the visual that you saw through the tablet, you just think of Lady M, and you realize that you do fully remember her. But the more that you think about the situation, the more it kind of pulls you back into your personal experience with her.
With pulls.
With
What
Lady.
was that?
So
With the okay.
So
Okay,
I'm
okay.
trying to think of it. You just think of moments that you saw her, like back at the tavern, in the garden, back when y'all were training together. It's funny because you can still remember what you saw, but you can't. And this would normally be something where your mind kind of manifests these like magical marbles that you've been collecting, but you try to pull on that and you can't.
Oh, sorry, you get no marble.
You get no marbles for that.
So I remember seeing that though, or like the just not. So I would know, be like, okay, I saw those 3 in the Feywild. I just can't like visualize it again.
Right.
Okay.
You remember it, and for those of you who weren't here for it, most of the time, Yarrow, whenever you have a memory and you're thinking back on it, in the past couple days, I would say you would have played with the fact that when you have the marbles, you can either hold them, put some sort of magical energy in them, or actually put it in the place of your horn, and it'll hold it, and you can actually kind of project it out into the material space in front of you.
I am like a projector.
It kind of like comes out of your little monocle type deal,
Mhm.
and it makes it to where the people around you can see it.
Right.
But it's only for big moments. You do still have like that keen mind when you can recall certain things.
Yeah.
But this effect, because you feel it was a great magic, it's definitely different.
I think that does bother Yarrow a bit. I probably annoyed, trying to wonder like, why don't I get a marble? What the heck? I should have a marble. And I think with that, then he's gonna start rummaging through his stuff or his pockets or whatever to make sure he still has his bag of marbles.
Give me a perception check. I'll say this is with advantage.
That was an 8.
An 8. I'll say on an 8, Yarrow, it takes some time to find it. You furthermore destroy your space because you're looking for them, and you feel a little guilty, right? Because you spent so much time.
Yeah.
It gets to the point now it's worse than before. The papers, and like you spill like a couple bottles of ink, and it gets to a point you're like, this is worse. Like the organization, even the arcane organization, it looks like, oh boy, Dianthus is gonna kill me. And just as you're realizing this, you get to a moment where I would say this would be one of those times where, Yarrow, you sit in your favorite spot, whatever that looks like to you, maybe like a chair with like a little bedside table or something, and the bag is right there.
This chair.
Like, literally right in front of you. And you
tore
just
through
spent all
everything.
this time tearing through everything. But you do have some marbles.
Wonderful. He just pops out. He's like, for fuck's sake, just grab the marbles and just make sure they're in there.
And for cinematic purposes, at that point, everything just kind of like slows down. Like the papers that were like everywhere, like finally rest on the ground, and you're just sitting in the mess that you've made. It's been a long morning.
He's a bit stressed, Like he's glad he has that. It's like, okay, counts. I'm sure probably counts them and can realize, okay, yes, I have as many as I had before. Those are there. And then just again, probably has been holding on to that little tablet the whole time as well. Making sure to keep that because that's something that very curious about. Checking the marbles. Maybe eventually goes back to try to look through it again, see if he can get another marble.
I will say the object that you have now is called a scrying plate,
Scrying plate.
just for your inventory. And then, so you had the scrying plate and the crystal shears, which was just that one half that I was talking about.
Did the shears, if he goes to grab those and like, can you tell at all what it does, or like, I don't know, try to hit it against something, see if it.
I will say, if you hit it against something, because you did a check on it earlier to see what it did, but that's different. So you spend a good couple minutes as creatively as you can trying to find different uses for this thing. It's not super durable. Like, you can tell it's kind of a delicate crystal, but it doesn't break.
It's not super hard.
It's not super hard, but you might have a moment of like frustration, and you find that when you cut something with it, it kind of like it turns into kind of like a glitter, and we're like,
Oh,
but you don't know what it does. Like
interesting.
in its arcaneness, it's more of just like if you get a piece of paper and you cut it goes
turns
like
into glitter, and is the glitter just there now, or does it disappear?
It dissipates. It just
Fascinating. Does it do that with anything? So like if he goes to, like, if there's like a plant or like a bookshelf, does it do the same thing to those? Like different materials, glass, wood.
I would say Yarrow kind of discovers through trial and error that it's mostly small things, right?
Okay.
If you get a piece of paper and you slice it, very simple, it'll, whatever. If you do it to like a glass, it takes as much effort as it would take to break like the cup, right? Or like if you do it to a chest or a shelf, you make a bunch of marks and the scratches kind of glow, but it doesn't, it's not everything it touches, just
Right,
sense.
okay.
It's kind of a size, but also like durability.
Yeah, he'll probably after deciding, okay, it's not everything that's gonna just poof into glitter. He'll probably put it away in like a little pouch or something, or a pocket, along with the other stuff he probably has. I think he's gonna keep all that stuff on his person though. And probably, yeah, just one more time could just look through the little glass again.
I would say that in looking through it again,
Mhm.
it's about the size of a teacup saucer.
Oh, okay.
Or
So
like
it's
a plate.
a decent.
It's a decent size, right? Almost like not quite an iPhone, but a good little like dinner plate type of. It's similar to a crystal prism. Like when you look through it, the light behind it kind of turns funky, but not to the degree that it did earlier.
Okay, so that wouldn't fit in a pocket, so I'll probably get like a little bag or something to
Yeah.
put that in to have on him.
I
And
would say for Yarrow, it's like it would fit in like a book bag or any sort of
yeah, I imagine it's like a little
anything bigger
satchel,
than like a
something.
coin purse.
Yeah, little something like that. But yeah, then I think gonna just look around at his face and realize what a mess it is and just decide not dealing with that right now.
I will say in this moment, Yarrow, it's about lunchtime. And before we get into what that looks like for your character, I will say this is kind of our halfway break. So, coming back to our lovely little guy who's just chilling. What do you think lunch looks like for Yarrow?
I feel like he probably hasn't gone grocery shopping in a hot minute, so there's not many options.
So definitely.
So it's like, I think it's, again, I'm attributing this to the ADHD. I think he just like picks and grabs random things, instead of like a proper full meal. I think it's like just like whatever was in the fridge, in the cabinet, and just kind of
A collection
like that
of
works.
flavored nuts and
Yeah, some nuts, maybe a random cup of mac and cheese, slice of bread. I don't nothing. I don't think he makes anything crazy. If there was actual, I don't think he's probably had time, considering all the stuff going on, to really think about that. Every once in a while, I think he will make a proper meal, but today, with all of that stuff and the thoughts kind of mulling things over, I don't think he can really focus on making.
Then
Like,
I'll say, Yarrow, you have a kind of a quick meal. You sit down, kind of doze off a little bit. Just the energy of the morning. Yarrow, you wake up to, you think it's a pounding at the door. Like in your sleep, you think it's a pounding at the door, but then you realize that the pounding is getting closer and louder, and you realize that something is running up the stairs of the moon tower. I need you to roll a d6 for me.
a D6. So scared. That's a 4.
Okay. You hear the door knock and then open and close, and you hear the steps, and it's loud and it's loud and it's loud. And then as you're kind of bracing yourself for something to break through or to come out, you see a gnome burst through the doorway. And you will recognize Anya, who was the little magic
Yeah.
creature that was kind of your magical sensei for a little bit.
She broke into my home. Hi.
But as she breaks through the doorway, you realize pretty quickly it's not like in a threatening manner. She kind of rests against the frame, and you realize the other day when you were practicing your magics and stuff, back before you had access to your abilities, she seemed bigger and more scary because she was able to like throw things at you and produce all these spells that you didn't know you were capable of. But after the incident with the stones, that did produce a marble, if you remember. It's like it was very almost like Jedi or Avatar blue people type stuff, where everything was floating around you and time was suspended and it was a crazy little ordeal. But since that's happened, she looks as small as her frame is. Like, she doesn't look as scary. If anything, she looks almost maternal. And you get the idea pretty quickly that she had just come in to check on you.
Okay, yeah, it just immediately just like, oh, hi, you just had to let yourself in there, huh?
Sorry, my dear, I'm so sorry. People in town, they were attacking each other, and it was. I was just thinking of you. And
right now?
Well, earlier today. I guess you slept through it all, but there were crazy lights that came over town, and people were sleeping on the streets, and there were animals running through, and I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. The wardens were going crazy trying to wrangle everyone together. But I just ran up once I saw the glow of your tower, and well, it took me a while to run across town, I will admit. I'm not very long stridden. But are you okay?
I'm fine. Are you okay? All that's going on. I didn't see any of that happening.
Well, I'm sorry for barging in. I looked through the window and it looked like you'd been ransacked.
Oh, that's just I was redecorating.
Give me a deception check.
Oh, what is my deception? Is my deception good? I have a +4. That's not bad. That's an 11.
It's an 11. Yarrow, for a second, she's like, "Oh, yes, my dear. Anyway," and she starts kind of with mage hand, not quite the physical, but kind of just like lifting things as she points and ordering stuff. I'll say on 11, she doesn't give the same like meticulous focus. It's not like,
Hmm.
oh, all of your stuff is clean again. But she just kind of, as she comes to things, moves them because you can see that it's visibly, oh boy, okay,
My mess is stressing her out. I understand.
it's fine. It's right.
Yes, there's a lot going on, and there's clearly been a lot of weird things going on. So, is everyone out there okay?
Well, part of it is myself and some of the others from our picnic today.
Right.
Kind of lays it on a little thick because you remember that to be Zehan and Cal and everyone and all of these mysterious figures. But a lot of us are going around town checking on everyone, and it's I won't keep you, but it was kind of a scary evening for a lot of us. I have to go check on the bakery and a couple of the other more vulnerable sites, but it seems like you're capable. You must have some incredible magic defenses. If none of it got to you,
I mean, there was someone earlier, but it wasn't a threatening sort of situation. I don't think.
there was one. What, my dear?
The person, a deer mask head, and they just showed up, but they played music and left. So
Are you? And she kind of like puts her hand to your forehead. Are you sure you don't have a fever, dear?
I will just kind of mimic it. I don't think so. I mean, it's been a bit of a weird day. Like something seemed off, and I guess this doesn't really help if I'm, saying more crazy things. But at first he was in the sky, and then it sounds crazy, but they were dodging rain and thunder, and it's maybe just I'm.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm gonna go, but she kind of pulls out. You see, she has this little. It's a very frilly fabric, almost like a coin purse. But you realize she quickly pulls it out, and it's all food items. She lays out, kind of taking stock that you don't have a lot of things to necessarily feed yourself. Puts out a couple bowls of soup, couple loaves of like bread. You can tell though that even though she's pulling it out of the little satchel, that all of the food is warm, almost as if it's coming like straight out of an oven type deal. She lays out a good probably 2 or 3 meals worth of stuff, and is like, "All right, dear, if you need anything, just take it from the pile."
Oh,
I
it's really kind. Do you need any help with anything? Are you sure it's okay over
I'm
there?
quite all right, my dear. I'm good. But I believe that you probably need to rest.
Right. Will you check on the others who are there? Do you?
The other who?
I came with the other people, Dianthus and the Lady Am and Nortia.
Sweetie, I don't know who you're talking about.
We were all eating, and then you dragged me away to train. we all talked together and
Sweetie, you came alone.
no, I don't really go many places alone. That's definitely not what happened.
Well, okay.
What do you remember?
I remember you throwing stones at me. And I remember you coming out of the forest, and then Zehan said I was supposed to train you, so I did. But I don't, sweetie. It was just you.
Now it's my turn to ask if you're feeling alright. You're making me a little worried.
If you would like to do a check in this moment, you can.
What kind of check?
You can do perception. You can do insight. You can do arcana. You can do
Kind of
medicine
do.
check.
Yeah, actually, can I do a medicine check? I don't think I have great medicine, but I think right now I was thinking you're maybe not the one feeling well.
Okay.
That's only a 10.
I'm making a note because this is as it is with each player. It's based off of like your rolls, kind of what happens.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Anya is completely well. No fever, nothing crazy.
Yeah, you're just gonna keep looking at her, just maybe we both need to get some rest, and I can go check on them myself later. It's not a problem.
I'm sure they will appreciate it. Okay, well, send word if you need anything. Have a good one.
He just says, you too.
She leaves, and a few moments go by. What is Yarrow thinking or feeling?
Concern, confusion. I think that probably takes them back a bit, and they're recalling the events. I think as clearly as like she's like, no, there was no way I was alone. I had like a good amount of people with me. Like, what's wrong that she doesn't remember that?
A charisma saving throw.
17.
17. You're doing better than I rested on these.
Nice.
You remember the members of your group. You remember everybody. You remember Cal. You remember Lady M, Nordia, Dianthus. There might be someone you're forgetting.
Okay.
But of the people you're concerned with in this moment.
The people, that you've been with.
Nordia, the others, like your group of people.
I think I was with them. He's just like, no, I am right. She's wrong.
You come to this, right? You remember the glen of that door that was in Lady M's garden. You go through, and there was that weird thing where you thought people were kidnapped, and then you had to fight a guy, and then he was okay, and then you were trained, and then you got out of it, and since then you've been here. So now what will Yarrow do?
I think now Yarrow's probably wanting. I know, obviously, no serious, but he's probably gonna go wanting to leave and either check that, be like, no, like maybe someone else. You could ask someone else, be like, no, you remember, right? Like, just go through and just try to recall or make sure, see if she's the only one who doesn't remember those things.
So who do you think you would ask if they remember the others?
I'm thinking maybe Gon Kui, because that big fight uh, started there, and everyone was fighting. So
Yarrow, you take your faculties, right? You look at your space, kind of get your things together, figuring out, Gongqi is the owner of the tavern, right? So you start to head that way. If you could give me, we'll call this a nature check.
that is a 12.
12. You make your way through town pretty uneventfully. People are coming back out. You had also taken a little bit of a nap in the middle of the day. You do notice that there are some things that have been knocked over, some things are wet. Some people look intoxicated rather early in the day. Sure, there are drunks that will, walk out into the street at any given hour, but a lot of people look kind of woozy from the night before. And you strike up a couple conversations. Yarrow isn't the most social, but there might be, an ink seller or someone that you deal with, like typical day-to-day stuff. And in some of your discussions, a lot of people are rather forgetful. You even take a moment to stop at a place that you usually go to just to get some paper, some supplies, and it takes them a few minutes to recognize you. And then you keep going, and you get to the tavern. The tipsy scale in all of its glory is kind of there. It's gone under some repairs lately, but nothing too crazy. And as you come in, you approach the bar, and Gongqi is there.
Okay.
And she is wiping things down. And I'm gonna need you to give me a d20 roll with your casting modifier.
Okay. The spell casting one. Okay. 14.
14. Okay. So basically what that was is so Gongqi had to do the save that you've been doing. And as they're kind of wiping things down or whatever, you approach the bar, and there's no recollection as they see you. May I help you, sir?
Hi, Gongqi. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Seemingly a little confused as to why you know their name.
Have you noticed things are a little weird?
I've had some strange conversations today. A lot of new folk coming in.
Well, there was a Breckoning, so with that there's probably a few.
I guess you have a point. Can I interest you in a drink?
Not right now. I'm kinda actually was wondering. I do you remember the friends that I was with the other night? When all the stuff and fighting happened.
Give me a persuasion check.
That's a 9.
Gongqi takes a mug of ale, takes a swig, sets it down. Your friends. I don't remember you. I don't think I would remember your friends either. So.
You came to my home to get me for the event, and brought me back here, and we had a few conversations, and I was supposed to be helping with things, and I had other people here with me. Nothing.
As you say this, you see like 4 or 5 different emotions run across her face really quickly. She's like, "You were late, Yarrow. Where have you been? Ever since the? Wait. Hold on." And she's kind of looking around, like, "What? When did I open? Did I open it? Did you do this?"
I don't think so. No. It definitely wasn't me. There was someone testing something, maybe. It must be magic, right? But I don't think it's not mine.
I remember that woman who disrupted the festivities. She went
Yeah.
to you first.
Yeah. I don't know what there's to explain. She just showed up. I've never seen or met her before, and she just
Well,
tried to
typically
kill
the
me.
party crasher goes to the person they have a history with first.
There's no history there. I've never seen her before in my life.
Yarrow, you're a sweet kid. I'm going to need to corroborate what you're saying. I'll ask around, but I'm gonna need you to make yourself unseen for a couple days.
For a couple of days. While I go into hiding.
Just not in my tavern. You see, the little ruckus your group caused over there and over there, and she points to the various parts of the tavern that, although they have been mostly repaired, like you can see it's new wood or the rope is new, the chandelier is being
Yeah.
installed.
Yeah.
You do,
I'm really sorry about that.
as you're apologizing to her, you do recognize and remember that, like, Gonkui was never this cold to you before. And even in discussing, like, she remembers you as the person who was late and disrupted her event. But she does not remember your friends. And a lot of what you're saying right now is just coming off as like kind of like excuses, right? It's like, okay, well,
Right.
if you don't want to be honest with me, you gotta get out for a couple days, right? And you do see that she looks a little bit hurt. I thought you were better than this. She
No,
throws the
there's
towel over her
something
shoulder.
going on. I'm really sorry about Saul. If okay, if it was me, I didn't mean for it to happen. I think it just, the Breckoning and the magic happening, and I don't know what I did. But you can blame me. It's fine. I'm gonna learn. I'm going. I'll fix it.
You'll fix it.
I'll find a way to fix it. Yeah, there's magic now, right? There's got to be a way.
And what are you trying to fix?
Uh, the I guess everything. I don't know. I mean, you're in for starters. I can help you fix that. I think there's people are something's going on here with the memories are a little weird, right? So there must be something.
We'll talk later. Get out.
Okay. I'm really sorry again. And they're gonna turn and leave.
Give me a perception check.
That is 17.
Yarrow, you see a little bit of that towards the end of the conversation. It gets less harsh and
Mm.
more just kind of disappointed. You can sense that like a trust has been at least perceivably broken. And when she asks you to leave, a couple of like the bigger, kind of bouncer looking people step forward for a second, but she does wave them off. But on a 17, as you leave, you feel like you're being followed.
Can I tell by who? Like if I look around and
You look over your shoulder, and as the door closes, you don't see anyone like approaching the doors. But as you get, a couple paces away from the tavern, you can tell they're sneaky. You turn your head and you can't see them, and then you turn your head the other way. But you just can't shake the feeling. And wherever you're going, you're not losing them.
I think is probably gonna walk for a while then. But probably staying in the more public areas, trying to determine, okay, is this person following me good intention or bad intentioned. Like
Gotcha. Where do you think Yarrow would head?
after that, maybe trying to think of where else we've been. Either library or Ozzy's or M's shop or like anywhere where like he's been. They know someone. He's just like, I need to figure out what's
So to give you some
going
options, you
on.
got so
Yeah.
you can go towards M shop. There's Aussie's, there's the library.
Mhm.
There is the beach.
Ah,
There is the cliff jumping grounds, which is on like
mhm.
the western side of town where a lot of the like sports stuff happens. There's a bookshop that is close to the church, Maldeo. There's also, and not to say that you have forgotten them up to this point, but there's also your brother, who you know is at
Yeah.
the medical ward of the
Okay.
church.
Well, if there's someone following, I don't know if he wants to lead them to his brother. I think they're gonna try and get rid of this person, and if they're successful in that, that would be the next stop. Um,
So
but I
give
don't
me
think he wants to
a
accidentally
stealth
put
check.
Emerus in danger.
So give me a
What?
stealth check.
Stealth. Okay, perfect. That is another 17.
17. I'll say on those two combined. Yarrow, you're tall.
Yeah, yeah.
I think part of being a recluse is figuring out how to weave in and out and kind of, despite your height, become unseen.
Hmm.
And you, for a few minutes, you're going through and you realize it's getting close to dark. About 30 minutes, an hour before things would, night activities start. You get to a point and you see coming up is a rather large bugbear that stands a couple heads taller than the rest of the people running down the street. And you kind of sneak in on a 17. You kind of loop on the other side of him, and you stand shoulder to shoulder but facing opposite directions as this group. And you hear a couple in armor, but a couple in like leather or light robe. And you realize that it was actually a kind of sizable group. You don't really know how you couldn't see them, but the bugbear kind of stands there, and for a moment, right before you're like, okay, it's good to go, he actually like puts his arm out, like, hold it.
Can I tell that he's the one following me? Or
The bugbear was not following you.
the bugbear was not?
He was not following you.
Oh, okay.
You
Never
saw
mind.
him and used him as
As a shield to hide. Okay, okay.
You were weaving in and out of people, and you couldn't. You're a little too tall to hide behind a barrel, really.
Got it. Right.
And so you hid, and you think part of it was maybe they were afraid of him, or he, whatever, had some sort of history with whoever it was, but.
Yeah. Then they're just gonna. Sorry. If you'll excuse me, I'm kind of in a bit of a hurry.
All right. Good luck with whatever you're dealing with here.
No, it's fine. Someone was following me. Sorry. I just meant to. Just trying to, get away.
Okay, as you're trying to get away. You don't remember me, do you?
Do I?
As he says this, you remember an evening where a bugbear in deep blues, like very, at one point, nice garb that's been worn, like torn, and over a period of time has just kind of become a rugged, almost like an armor. You do remember them entering Lady M's garden, but you don't remember exactly how much you know them. Like it's a very
Okay.
foggy memory. But you do remember that he's helped you before.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. I know I've seen you before, and you've helped before, right? That's
If it makes you feel any better, yours is the only face I've recalled all day. So, don't feel bad about it. The lady's hand is mighty helpful. I'll meet you back there. Just for now, I am going to take your tail away. And he kind of like bucks
Thank
up
you.
becomes like even bigger than he is, and just kind of like starts knocking over things and burrowing down the street. And you see for a second, I'll give you two choices here. If you want to get a closer look at who is following him, you can. There will be a roll on that to see if you are, caught or anything, or you can book it. And so the main difference will be if you want to roll a investigation or a stealth check.
Well, I have a +2 in investigation, a +1 in stealth, so it's a matter. I have a better chance with investigation, I think.
I will say, the DC for the investigation is going to be a little higher because the stealth is you've already kind of evaded these guys.
Okay,
So
right.
the stealth is you getting away, so it's going to be a little easier. But if you want to get information, and I'm not saying you have to do either.
Yeah. See, I know he wants information, but he's like, maybe, where did... He said where to meet, right? It was...
You remember the lady's hand is Lady M's shop.
Okay, thank you. I think then he's just gonna consider it about to go follow, and then just decide, no, I need to go speak with my brother first, and then we'll discuss with this guy later on and try and look into it. So I think he's gonna leave.
Give me another stealth check, and I will say, for rewarding the character choice, right? This isn't like you have lost them, but this is going to be as you get into the church, basically getting through like a different realm of undetected, right? Like this isn't you being chased anymore. It's like, can you be sneaky getting back to,
Right. Okay, perfect. So you said stealth? How's a 4?
How's a 4? So, Yarrow, you kind of like duck and weave between people. It's been kind of a long day, right? You've been dealing with all sorts of stuff. You, on a 4, I'm gonna say you get to the point where you know where you're going, and you're looking behind you to check, and you feel someone hit your chest, and with a loud thud, you turn back and you see the lady bishop of the church, Lady Dinah, who had been carrying a you can't really tell right now if it was purely ornamental or like a ceremonial wine, but you hit her and she is sitting down with covered in wine, and you can tell if this wasn't a woman of the cloth, she would be cursing right now.
Sorry, I can clean that up for you.
Don't touch me.
Right. Sorry, I'll just be going then.
You're here for Old One in the basement?
Yeah. Just coming to check in.
Perfect. Well, I guess I can't kick you out, but...
I'm sorry?
You see, as she starts to kind of put her hands down and try to push herself up, 2 deacons grab each elbow and kind of like pull her back up to her feet. And she's like, make sure it doesn't happen again, or I'll find a reason for it not to happen again.
I really am sorry. I'm just in a bit of a rush, and it definitely it won't happen again. I swear.
As she turns and walks, you get a glimpse, kind of just looking around the room. A lot of people are trying to avoid your eye contact. One individual kind of walks up to you and is like, I'm sorry about that. Hands you a towel to, or actually just starts kind of like wiping off areas where you got wine on you.
Thanks. Yeah, she's probably having a bad day. Seems like a lot of people are.
And it's this redhead, red beard, kind eyes. You see he kind of quickly prestidigitates the wine off of you, and he's like, your brother's, well, not as poor as she would. Give me an insight check.
13.
You catch him about to say something, and you watch his face as he's like, I would regret finishing that sentence. Follow me.
You could say it. I'm not gonna tell anyone. But yeah, lead the way. I mean, I know where to go, but sure.
As he's kind of walking, he's like, you do recognize it's hot. Like, he points with his nose more than his hand. Y'all are in the middle of the cathedral, right? So this is like every word kind of echoes off the walls and stuff, and he gets to a point, and as you start like going down the stairs to Dianthus's space where he deals with Emerus, he turns to you and he's like, you have to be more careful. I don't know what you're doing, but if you pissed off Dinah.
It was an accident. I bumped into her. People bump into other people all the time. It's not.
To those of faith, there are no accidents.
I mean, she'll get over it, won't she?
I feel like your friend knows more than most. She doesn't get over anything.
I'll make it up to her or something later.
I respect you for trying, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
Your brother's in here.
She's not difficult. Okay. Thank you.
I'll give you two some moments.
Great. Is Dianthus around too?
No, actually, I forget where he said he was going. He just told me and a few of the others to watch your brother, so he's not here right now.
They left?
Well, I'm sure it was important.
Right. No, of course. They're usually here. Thank you. I'll be going then.
Like, as you go, right, as he kind of opens the door and lets you in, you feel a token. He puts, kind of with 3 fingers, puts a token in your hand. He says, not in here. And he walks back out.
Is it the token that I left in there? Or is it just a new one?
Yeah, so the token that had made the ward that first time, you recognize that as the same token, which as this person, who I don't believe you got their name,
no, I don't think so.
walks up the stairs, he kind of looks back to you, and you get a feeling of curiosity that's much less dark than some of the things that you've dealt with so far. This is more of, okay, I'm gonna have to revisit that. Like that guy.
What?
You're like, that guy knows something.
Okay.
Anyway, and then you enter the space with Emerus. I need you to give me another d20 roll with your spellcasting modifier.
D20 spellcasting modifier. Okay, wonderful. That's a 1, but I have a +4.
Oh boy.
Please. Doesn't the +4 help? It's a 5.
Hold on.
No. I was doing so well.
Hold on, I need.
No, don't.
I'm putting this in the group chat. People are gonna be like, "What is this?"
What are you putting in there? What are you putting in there?
There we go.
We both not one.
Yarrow, as you enter this space, that's never happened to me. As you enter this,
Oh my God, no.
2 nat ones. Oh boy. You recognize that in the Breckoning event, right? People were hurt. Some people gained magic. Some people were hurt by their magic. But you get into the waiting area, kind of the cots for those who have more long-lasting effects. And you can't tell which one is your brother.
Oh no.
And in this moment, you know that you have a brother,
Right. Oh no.
but you can't remember his name. Or
Oh
what he
no.
looks like. And no one beckons you when you enter this space.
He's just standing there, looking around, and then I think the realization that he doesn't know who he's looking for, doesn't know where he is, and can't think of his name, and that just, I think he kind of takes a few steps back, and he, like, the looking around probably gets a little more frantic, a little more panic, maybe. Oh no. Oh.
I will say, Yarrow, you get with 2 nat ones. You're standing in this space. I'm gonna give you like 1 action.
Wonderful.
And if it
That's
goes
a lot of pressure.
if it goes well, we can figure it out. But if it doesn't, something's about to happen. So you can take your interpretive approach as to what action or check, spell, item, whatever you want to do in this moment. Because you as the player know what's going on, but Yarrow
Yeah.
is completely clueless in this moment. You knew what
Yeah.
you came here for, and the moment you walked into the room, you forgot.
Forgot. Completely. Yeah. Okay. That's great. What do I have anything about some help right now? Like, no. Okay, none of that. Let me look at my inventory real quick. I still don't know what those shears do. I'm not gonna. I have. Nope. Can I make like a check maybe? Either just like to see if there's magic happening right now, just a reasoning as to why he's just trying to like logically think like why would I forget such like a person like my own brother. How do I forget him of all
How do you
people?
forget your own brother? If you would like to do an Arcana check, you may. And depending on what happens, I am going to tell you what happens. So let me know what you get.
Oh,
If you want to do a check,
that's all I can think of doing. I don't think I have anything that's like none of my like equipment or inventory has anything that's going to be helpful to like finding a person or deciphering like, you know.
yeah, not
Yeah.
that you know of at this moment, no.
Right. No. I have a feeling me Freckle. I have a feeling it's the shears or something, but I don't know. So I'm just gonna. But he's panicking, so I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll do Arcana. That's a 12. I don't like that smile. Why are you smiling? Caleb, why are you smiling, Caleb?
Hold on. I need.
I'm so scared right now.
It's not good. It's not good for you.
What do you mean that's not good? For me or for you?
For you.
For me. What are you doing?
The most dramatic 2 rolls for.
You did not. Did you not? Don't. What is in here? No! No!
Yarrow, you enter this space, right? And you activate something. You're
Mm-hmm.
reaching, and for a good 10 seconds, you think, if someone, a third party to what is happening right now, would look at this and they see you pulling on threads and seeing runes, and you're breaking this magic and pushing against it. And it actually, on a 12, you get to where you recognize the bed, and you are coming towards it. And as you kind of pull, there's some sort of like arcane push against you. And as you're pulling on it, you get right to the foot of the bed. And as you look to your brother, Freckle, you reach out a hand.
Uh-huh.
They take your hand and they put one arm under it, and they put the second on top. And they pull you to them. And it's not your brother. In this bed is the elderly man that was holding lightning in his fingertips. His eyes are deep black and sunken. His beard holds stars and light and consumes all the energy in the room. And Yarrow, you feel a pull, and as you look back up, you are standing in the amphitheater with your hand on the blade in Hemlock's shoulder. You are standing shirtless with some unknown friend knocked unconscious in the cell. As you look up, there are a group of lords and ladies looking down at you, a coliseum of people chanting in a language that I'm going to check to make sure you do not speak. Actually, I stand corrected.
I speak it. Do I get to know things?
Yarrow. All you hear by thousands of people is kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him. And you look to the woman who you've seen this scene before, but when you saw it, you were in the cell behind you, and Dianthus was the one with the blade. And something that you didn't see and Dianthus didn't see is that even though he won this battle, a group of guards all come out and they grab you by either arm, and you're kicking and screaming. And in a moment, you actually see a reflection of yourself in a pane glass in front of one of the boxes, kind of like a box to like a private event, like a sports game or like a theater or something.
Yeah.
But in the reflection, you see Dianthus. Their hair covers their face because they're screaming out in Draconic all sorts of colorful language that I can't say because the internet is forever. But they're covered in blood and scars and scratches, and you feel yourself pulled from the arena. They bring you upstairs and they throw you at the feet of the king or whoever it is. You don't know who it is that runs this event, but in front of you is the wizard of which I spoke, and Bianca, and a figure with ivory skin who is bound by their neck and their arms and their feet to a chair. And Bianca gestures for a woman to step forward, and she comes forward and unbounds one of the hands, and the ivory figure reaches out and puts a hand on your cheek, and you feel your skin wither away, your hair falls out, you turn to powder and to dust, and you, as Dianthus, are killed in this moment. You open your eyes, and a terrified Emrys is holding your hand in the hospital bed. You look around you, and there's blood that has been running down your face, but has been spewed along the walls, and the other patients and those who are strong enough to stand up have clambered to the wall. There was screaming, and Emrys looks to you, remembering who you are, and you recognize him. Yarrow, what did you do?
I don't know what just happened.
You can't stay here. They're going to come.
What? No. What did I do? Why? I don't know what's happening. Emrys, you really, please explain what's going on. There's I forgot you.
Yarrow, I don't. As you turn, Yarrow, you see Phineas, the man who had given you the token and ran upstairs.
Ginger? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's standing there, and for a moment he's meeting your gaze and he's smiling. But as you look down, you see the crystal shear that you picked up in his chest. And as his cheeks and eyes turn into flower petals and glitter, and he starts to fall away, a group of guards start to come down the stairs. And Yarrow, I ask you in this moment, what are you doing as everything comes falling around you?
Holy wow, okay. That's so much worse than what I thought was gonna. That was really good. First of all, that was really good. I think after seeing that, and I think finally connecting, I assume what the shears do. And I'm looking back to Emrys, am I still holding his hand? Or he's holding my hand?
You are holding Emrys's hand.
Yeah.
Recognize though that you're holding it with one, and your other hand had planted it into his chest, into Phineas's chest.
Just going to pull the shears back away from this man. I think his face is just like he's horrified by what he's just done, and then looks back to Emrys and just drops his hand. Just, okay. I'll be back. I'm gonna go, and he's gonna just start stepping away and keeping. I think now he's afraid. He's trying to keep the shears as far away from like where Emrys is now, because he's like, I don't want to.
I will say the shears are implanted in Phineas's chest.
They don't come out.
You're not holding them in this moment.
Oh, I'm not holding it. Okay. Then yeah, just pulls his hand away from the shears, and I think just I'm sorry, and he's just gonna run. I think that's when he just.
So
it's gonna try to.
So if you're going to run, I'm gonna need a survival check.
Wonderful. Okay, that is a 15.
15.
So
I will
not
say,
bad.
to give you, because I didn't like fully lay out the spatial aspect of this quite yet, because I didn't know that's where we were going to get to.
I didn't either. I thought I got out. I thought I had succeeded, and
well, a nat 1 followed by a nat 20. I was like, well,
yeah.
Okay, here we go. So you get up to leave, and Yarrow, understandably horrified, starts to head for the stairs, but you see a group of about 10 of the wardens make their way down and very quickly, in a kind of V formation, block off the door. The one in the middle steps forward, and it is the General Ogden. Bald man, big beard, very burly, but also the general and lead warden. And in his hand, he's holding a short spear, a javelin, so to speak. And I'm going to say on a 15, you step away and you start to make your way towards the stairs, but then realizing that they are there, you turn, and I'll say, what's your armor class?
Oh, I think it's only a 13. Wait, let me go.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, 13.
you are lucky, because General Ogden rolled a 12. He stands there and very much judge and executioner. So Phineas was standing at the edge of the bed, right? You had implanted the dagger in his chest. You kind of, as this is coming back to you, you realize that this went on for probably about a minute, just like screaming and yelling blood, and Phineas had come up kind of concerned about what was going on, and you in your state had planted the small dagger, so to speak. And as Phineas backs up and the wardens enter, as he kind of disintegrates, kind of in the place, right? As if I am Phineas, he dissolves, and as he apparates, the spear goes forward and it barely misses. And you back away, and there's a moment where you don't know where to go, and you notice one of the patients trips you, and you fall back into like this level of the medical wing is in a cavern, and as this spear is thrown, and I will say the combination of your survival check and just the messed up situation of what is going on here, Yarrow, you fall back into the water. It's a little shallow, so for a moment you feel like you don't take damage, but you do like hit the bottom and you're a little stunned. And as multiple spears are thrown into the water, a couple arrows, even at one point someone just straight up throws their axe. But as you sink to the bottom, you're not hit, but you do feel an underlying current as Yarrow is pulled from the bottom of the lake. And as you start to lose consciousness, you realize that you are being funneled out to another part of the island. And Yarrow is going to lose consciousness, and we will figure out what happens to them during our next session.
Okay.
So that's going to be all for tonight.
Wow. That's not what I was expecting. That sounds really good. Gosh. Okay.
So if anyone has questions or stuff, you can hop on our Discord or any of the social medias that are posted here. You will see Yarrow and the 3 other characters on Sunday, and we are going to have a lot more to talk about.